painting, lobstering.
50 caliber machine gun that was pointed right at me.
I'd like to raise the sails again, watching for the whales again, and never have to say I wish that I had done the things that I can't do when I'm too old to play.
So we just had some rain, and sometimes when it's raining and I've got all the boards in, all the washboards, it's a little bit dark and closed up inside. I've always wanted to have one of the boards be plexiglass, and so I found this piece of plexiglass, and I've got traced off the third board, which will be about eye height for me, and I will cut that out and fit that in place and have my plexiglass washboard. My kingdom for a table saw, which does an infinitely better job of cutting plexi than a jigsaw. Cut and re-glued all in one shot. Of course, it finally broke when I wasn't filming. Ta-da! It's gonna need a little finish work where that melted plastic glued itself back, but there it is.
Well, I think today's your lucky day. Gotta get rid of at least 20 gallons of diesel.
20 gallons of diesel fuel, it's $8 a gallon here, $8.50 or something like that. That's $160 worth of diesel. My benefactors have arrived with diesel. Thank you so much. I'm so grateful. I really am. You guys are angels.
You know,
And here's 2 empty cans. You can do whatever you need to.
it always works out. I've been fortunate to have lots of people help me out in the past, so I know when I have the opportunity to pay it forward, I not only should, but I feel obligated to.
I am forever in your debt, and I look forward to doing, as I mentioned, a little pastel. I've got my board here.
That would be awesome.
Thank you kindly.
You're welcome.
I'll return your cans shortly. Ah, the unexpected gifts of kindness are the best ones of all, aren't they? So I've just rowed ashore to my favorite landing spot here at Culler's Restaurant, and I'm going to make a run down to Maxwell's, which is the big grocery store here. I used to try to hitchhike this, but it's not that far, and I realized I really needed the exercise, so I gave that up. Besides, nobody picked me up anyway. So this is Maxwell's. It's huge. This will compete with stores back in the States, and they've even got a separate hardware store built in. Man, you see the prices here. You're glad you bought stuff elsewhere. They are high. After getting back from Maxwell's and stowing everything, it was time to dig out the pastels and start on that painting for Mark. Hopefully it turns out well and I can give him a nice pastel, because they really did me a nice solid with that diesel. So they deserve it. I kind of set up here so they could come over and shoot a little video. They've got a channel as well. So this isn't really the ideal place to paint. But if it was actually cloudy, this would actually work pretty nicely. Not that I want that. I like the sun. Don't listen to what I'm saying. I then went over to visit with Mark and Kim. Now the name of your boat is Pompero. What's that from?
There's the winds that blow across the Argentine desert. They're called the Pompero winds.
Ah.
But then there's also a rum called Pompero rum.
Here she is, the onboard video editor.
She does an awesome job of, I mean, we have so much crap on this boat, and I wouldn't even know where to find it without her. She tucks everything away, keeps everything organized.
Oh, more job security.
Right?
Clever.
Just hide everything.
Clever. The next day, Mark invited me along in search of lobsters. Yes, and what vessel is that, you ask? It's his. We're on the little Freedom, the little electric skiff. Electric skiff, quiet as all get out. And we're gonna get a couple lobsters, are we?
I hope so.
Mark says there's a big lobster out here. It's his Moby Dick, I think. He's been after it. How long have you been after this lobster? How many years? Years. All right, we're here. Let's see if we can find this big monster.
I think I hear him.
Both of us looked in every hole and crevice, but the lobsters proved elusive. Finally, I spotted one under this ledge. Mark used what he calls a tickle stick, which he reaches around and taps the tail of the lobster with, causing it to think that moving forward is the better idea. Of course, that's where the net is. When we got back, I finished up the pastel. Well, it's time to deliver the pastel. I've got it in this box, which conveniently says thank you. We're gonna go over and deliver it. Well, it's always tough giving a painting to somebody because you never know if they like it. They always say they love it, of course. Ahoy, Pompero.
What's up?
Well, you were so kind to offer me diesel. It was just such manna from heaven at the exact moment I was looking for diesel. I was inspired to do a pastel of your boat. Oh, sure, there's Kim. I have your pastel.
Thank you so much.
Wow, don't tell me that until you see it and like it.
Oh, look at that.
That's awesome. That looks really good.
I can't tell you how much I love this, man. I'm gonna get a frame for it.
Yeah, they've got this this ramp here and the little battery-powered dinghy gets hauled right up there and stays out of the water. So I'm sitting here with Cap'n Mark, and Cap'n Mark has written a book, Off the Grid, which I just read. I gotta read you the first sentence. First sentence of the book in the introduction. I went from working 60 hours a week and getting nowhere to working 3 months a year and going everywhere. Love it. Tell that story. I love that story, coming off of Cuba and the spotlight and all that.
I didn't have the battery power on board to sail through the night with my running lights on, so I turn my lights off at night when I'm sailing. And I'm sailing past Cuba, and I hear this rumble of a motor of a boat coming at us, and I'm like going, "Is that?" You know, you grow up watching Scarface, you know, and you think Cubans are coming to get me, and you know, so I was on edge and I was armed to the hilt. So anyways, Coast Guard pulls up. I didn't know they were Coast Guard. I thought they came up with their lights off also because they, you know, thought I was a smuggler or something. And then they turned the radio on and said, get on channel 16. So I turned the radio on 16, yes, and they said, this is U.S. Coast Guard. And I said, well, how do I know that? And they shined their spotlight up on the Coast Guard flag and the American flag, and I'm like, I can buy one of those. I mean, that doesn't tell me you're Coast Guard. And then they turned the spotlight on the guy on the front of the boat on the 50 caliber machine gun that was pointed right at me with the big orange stripe on the front of the boat. And I'm like, oh yeah, okay, you're Coast Guard. And so then they asked me, they said, do you have any guns on board? I said, well, we just left the Bahamas, and I had to make a list of guns and serial numbers and all the ammunition we had to give to the Bahamian government. I don't know if you can do that now, but that's what he did 30 years ago. So I get on the radio, I'm like, I got a Tech 9 with 400 rounds of ammunition. I've got a Tommy gun with 200 rounds of ammunition. I've got a 9mm. I've got a shotgun, blah, 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 and all this stuff. And I think they really thought that we were drug smugglers and we were getting ready to go to battle. So they said, I said, what do you want me to do with all the guns? He says, leave them on the back bunk and everybody come up on deck. So we came up on deck and they boarded us with, there's about 8 of them, came up in a Zodiac, like 2-3 o'clock in the morning with,
it's always 2 in the morning. Why is that?
Yeah. With their M16s and their bulletproof vests, and you know, they stayed on board and searched us for probably 2 hours. They thought for sure we were. I mean, I was 30 years old, had long hair and a beard. My buddy, he was about the same, and you know, we freaking looked like smugglers.
You looked the part.
Yeah.
We're having sundowners here on Pompero, and I'm shoving off tomorrow for points east and south. So it's our last hurrah, I guess, until we meet again.
Yeah. Hopefully our paths will cross again.
Yeah.
Enjoyed your company,
Yeah, I hope so. I might have to fly out and join you in Fiji or something.
which you're always welcome.
Someplace interesting. Every day gets me closer to the day Muriel arrives, and so here she is, playing a folding harp guitar built by Lucas Bruner.
So I've tweaked the tuning, and let's play Vincent in a drop G tuning.